Welcome to OptiU, a concept customized for helping you becoming your best self. You were built to evolve, to think clearer, move stronger, and live deeper. Each episode gives you the knowledge, the mindset, and the daily rituals to unlock your body's and brain's optimal chemistry and elevate your life. Because health optimization isn't just an idea, it's an identity.
Let me ask you something. What if I told you that almost everything you feel, your drive, your confidence, your stress, your mood, your ability to focus, even how connected you feel to the people you love, isn't random, isn't luck, and isn't just your personality? Yeah, what if there's a lever system inside of you, like a biological control panel that you can learn to influence daily, intentionally, simply? And what if mastering it is the single biggest upgrade you can make to your life? Today, I'm going to show you exactly how your brain's chemistry works and how 6 simple lifestyle habits control everything from your motivation to your mindset. Welcome back to the OptiU podcast, and to all the listeners out there, thank you. We really appreciate your time and hope that you'll get tons of value out of this episode and all the other episodes to come. I'm your host, and today we're laying the foundation for everything we're going to explore in this podcast. This is the episode that connects the dots. This is where you learn the why behind the tools I'll be giving you in every future episode. Because before we talk routines, performance, mindset, relationships, or energy, we need to start with the engine, your brain chemistry, specifically the big 6 neurochemicals that drive human emotion, human behavior, and human potential: dopamine, serotonin, oxytocin, endorphins, cortisol, and testosterone. And yes, we're also pulling in the bonus crew: GABA, melatonin, adrenaline, and noradrenaline. Then we're going to layer in the 6 lifestyle drivers that modulate these chemicals more powerfully than anything else: exercise, sleep, meditation or mindfulness, nutrition, relationships, and novelty and experiences. By the end of this episode, you'll understand that there is a reason behind everything you feel, how you can influence your mood through specific activities, drive, stress, and focus. Get ready, because once you understand your chemistry, you understand yourself and how you can trigger the brain chemical you need in every situation you might find yourself in. So, without further ado, let's dive in. Let's start with the one people think they understand, but actually don't: dopamine. Dopamine isn't the pleasure chemical. The research is crystal clear. It's the chemical of motivation, anticipation, and reinforcement. Dopamine fires when you pursue a goal, when you expect a reward, when you master a skill, when you try something new, and when you make progress, not when you achieve, when you move toward something. What increases dopamine, according to recent research: novelty and adventure, structured exercise, especially goal-oriented training, learning new skills, social rewards, small wins, and anticipation cycles. What decreases dopamine? Chronic stress, sleep deprivation, highly processed, high-fat, high-sugar diets, and addictive loops like endless scrolling, gambling, porn, or any kind of binge behavior. There's one more piece you need to understand about dopamine: dopamine stacking. This happens when you combine multiple high dopamine behaviors at the same time, like scrolling social media while eating junk food, gaming with energy drinks, or watching porn with constant novelty. Each layer adds another dopamine spike, creating unnatural peaks far higher than what the brain evolved to handle. When this becomes a pattern, the brain protects itself by downregulating dopamine receptors, meaning the receptors become less sensitive. You need more stimulation to feel the same effect, while normal activities like reading, studying, walking, or even socializing start to feel flat. Porn is one of the strongest examples of this. Endless novelty trains the brain to expect extreme dopamine surges, making real intimacy or everyday life feel dull by comparison. The good news is that when you stop the dopamine stacking and let your brain breathe, your receptors slowly resensitize. And then something amazing happens. Motivation returns, small things feel rewarding again, relationships feel deeper, workouts feel more satisfying, and your natural drive comes back online. You don't lose pleasure, you actually get it back. If you're looking for a practical dopamine upgrade, it might look like this. Add one new skill or experience weekly. Break big goals into tiny progress steps. Exercise at least 3 times a week, quit porn, and build reward anticipation into your calendar so there's always something meaningful to look forward to. The myth to kill here is simple. Dopamine is not just pleasure, dopamine is drive if you don't constantly give yourself too much of it. All right, let's move on to the next chemical, serotonin. Serotonin is your brain's stability chemical, the one responsible for emotional balance, calm, confidence, and that grounded feeling of, I'm okay. It regulates mood, helps you learn from setbacks, supports impulse control, and gives you a sense of safety and inner stability. Unlike dopamine, which drives you forward, serotonin keeps you steady. It rises with sunlight, movement, nutrition, social connection, and routines. And it drops when you're stressed, isolated, or sleep deprived. When serotonin is balanced, life feels manageable. You think clearer, react slower, and feel more content in your own. Serotonin is not just happiness, it's stability, confidence, and contentment. It regulates mood. It helps you learn from negative outcomes. It plays a role in feeling safe and in emotional resilience. So, what exactly increases serotonin? Sunlight around 30 minutes a day. Mediterranean or mind-style diets, aerobic exercise, daily social connection, meditation, and gratitude practices. What decreases serotonin? Sleep loss, stress, social isolation, low nutrient intake, and lack of routine. A good rule of thumb is this: get some sunlight each day, include aerobic movement several times a week, eat Mediterranean style most of the time, and find at least one small moment of gratitude every day. The myth is that serotonin is just about good vibes. In reality, it's about emotional regulation. Next up is oxytocin, the connector. Oxytocin is your brain's connection and trust chemical, the one that makes you feel warm, safe, and emotionally close to others. It's released through touch, eye contact, laughter, meaningful conversation, and shared experiences. When oxytocin is high, you feel more open, more compassionate, more trusting, and more at ease in social situations. It's that deep sense of, I belong here, or I'm safe with this person. Relationships feel richer, stress softens, and your body shifts into a calmer, more grounded state. But when oxytocin is low because of loneliness, isolation, or lack of meaningful contact, you may feel guarded, disconnected, or emotionally distant. Even simple acts like a long hug, honest conversation, or spending uninterrupted time with someone you care about can boost oxytocin and noticeably shift how you feel. It decreases with loneliness, disconnection, relational conflict, and trauma. In practical terms, you can think of your oxytocin dose as something like this. Aim for several meaningful social interactions each week and daily physical touch if possible. There's also a myth about oxytocin. It's not always the love hormone. In some contexts, it can actually strengthen in-group versus out-group bias. But in healthy relationships, it's your glue. Now, over to the next brain chemical, endorphins, the natural high. When endorphins rise, you feel lighter, more relaxed, more optimistic, sometimes even euphoric. It's that post-workout glow that I feel surprisingly good feeling after a tough moment, or the rush you get from a deep laugh with friends. Endorphins help reduce physical pain and emotional stress, and they make hard things feel more doable. You want endorphins because they're one of your body's most powerful tools for resilience. They help you handle discomfort, lift your mood naturally, and create a sense of well-being that carries into the rest of your day. A practical frame: 45 to 60 minutes of moderate or high-intensity exercise, 3 to 5 times a week, is a strong, natural way to work with your endorphin system. Next is cortisol, the alarm. Cortisol is not the enemy, it's essential. Cortisol is your body's primary stress hormone designed to help you react, focus, and mobilize energy when something matters. In healthy amounts, cortisol makes you feel sharp, alert, and ready. It's what helps you perform under pressure or handle challenges with clarity. But when cortisol stays high for too long, everything changes. You feel wired but tired, more irritable, less patient, and more easily overwhelmed. Your sleep gets lighter, your cravings increase, and your motivation drops. Chronic stress keeps cortisol elevated, and that makes even small tasks feel heavy. You want balanced cortisol, not zero, because when cortisol is regulated, you feel grounded, steady, clear-headed, and capable. It's the difference between reacting to life and being in control of it. Chronic cortisol, the constant hum of stress, is the problem. That's what destroys motivation, sleep, metabolism, and confidence over time. So what increases cortisol? Stress, sleep deprivation, high sugar and high fat diets, conflict and overload. What lowers cortisol? 7 to 8 hours of sleep, Mediterranean or mind style diets, regular exercise, meditation, wind down routines, and reducing screen time before bed. Finally, we have testosterone, the inner fire. It supports motivation, self-confidence, boundary setting, energy, strength, and sexual health. Testosterone is your body's drive and power hormone, and as I said, it's for both men and women. When testosterone is balanced, you feel more capable, more decisive, more focused, and more willing to take action. It gives you that internal sense of strength, ambition, and I can handle this. When levels are low, you might feel slower, less motivated, more fatigued, and less confident in your own decisions. Luckily, there are ways to manage your testosterone levels and activities you can do to increase it. Resistance training, especially strength training with compound lifts. Good sleep, maintaining lean body mass. And positive social status cues, feeling valued, respected, and effective. On the other hand, things like stress, excess body fat, sleep deprivation lowers testosterone. Practically, that means do 2 to 3 strength training sessions per week. Protect your sleep and manage your stress. The myth is that only men benefit from testosterone. That is absolutely false. Okay. Before we move on, I just want to mention a couple of other brain chemicals that is worth our while. GABA, adrenaline, and noradrenaline, and last but not least, melatonin, the sleep hormone. GABA is your brain's calming and stabilizing neurotransmitter, your internal brake pedal. When GABA is active, you feel relaxed, grounded, and in control. It quiets mental noise, reduces anxious tension, and helps your body shift out of that wired, overstimulated state. High GABA makes you feel peaceful, steady, and able to slow down your thoughts instead of being pulled around by them. Practices like meditation, slow breathing, mindfulness, and good sleep are activities which naturally boost GABA. Second, adrenaline and noradrenaline, the focus twins. When they're used well, they're behind peak performance under pressure. When they're overused, they contribute to burnout. Adrenaline and noradrenaline are your body's alertness and readiness chemicals, the ones that kick in when you need sharp focus, quick reaction, or an extra burst of energy. When these chemicals rise, you feel awake, attentive, and ready to act. Your senses sharpen, your heart rate increases, and your mind becomes laser focused on what matters in the moment. This is what helps you perform under pressure, rise to a challenge, or snap into action when something important happens. But when these chemicals stay elevated for too long, because of stress, overstimulation, or constant urgency, you can feel jittery, overwhelmed, or wired but tired. Balance properly. Adrenaline and noradrenaline help you show up strong in high demand moments. Overused, they drain your energy. The goal isn't to eliminate them, it's to let them support peak performance without living in fight or flight all day. Okay, now over to melatonin, the timekeeper. It controls your sleep-wake cycles. It's your body's sleep and rhythm regulator, the hormone that tells your brain it's time to wind down. When melatonin rises in the evening, you feel calmer, sleepier, and naturally ready for rest. Your body temperature drops, your mind slows down, and your whole system shifts into recovery mode. But melatonin is incredibly sensitive. Bright screens, irregular schedules, and late night stimulation can shut it down, making it harder to fall asleep and stay asleep. When melatonin flows properly, you fall asleep easier, recover deeper, and wake up more clear-headed and stable. Supporting melatonin is one of the simplest ways to improve both your nights and your days, because your emotional balance, your energy, and even your motivation depend on the quality of your sleep. Now that we've covered the main pillars of brain chemistry, let's move into the 6 lifestyle drivers. First, exercise, the master switch. Exercise is one of the most powerful lifestyle pillars across all neurochemicals. The research between 2020 and 2025 is overwhelmingly clear. Exercise hits every major chemical system. Aerobic and resistance training together have a strong effect on dopamine, serotonin, endorphins, and testosterone, and they help lower baseline cortisol. This is the closest thing we have to a universal upgrade. A commonly used guideline is around 900 to 1100 MET minutes per week. That could look like a 30-minute brisk walk daily, or 60 minutes of vigorous movement 3 times a week, or 45 to 60-minute mixed training sessions 3 to 5 times a week. So what actually happens chemically when you exercise? Dopamine goes up. Exercise activates reward pathways, increasing drive and motivation. Serotonin goes up. Aerobic exercise boosts serotonin synthesis and acts like a powerful natural antidepressant. Endorphins increase. This is your built-in stress relief system. More movement means less pain and more euphoria. Cortisol tends to come down over time. Exercise helps suppress baseline cortisol levels, making you more resilient to everyday stress. Testosterone rises, especially with strength training and compound lifts in both men and women. If you only change one thing in your lifestyle, make it this one. So one way to implement it this week could be walk 30 minutes today and do 2 short strength workouts. Add 1 cardio session. And if you can, try 1 Pilates or mobility focus session for sleep and core stability. Just that alone taps into 5 of the 6 big chemicals. Okay, so now that we talked a little bit about exercise, let's move on to the next lifestyle driver, which, by the way, should be a no-negotiable thing: sleep. Sleep is not optional. It is the control center for your hormonal and emotional life. Research shows that sleep deprivation decreases dopamine, decreases serotonin, decreases testosterone, increases cortisol, and disrupts both learning and emotional regulation. On the flip side, 7 to 8 hours of structured sleep improves all major neurochemical profiles. Studies on the mind and Mediterranean diets even show that improving sleep is associated with lower cortisol, better mental health, higher serotonin, and deeper recovery. Here are some simple guidelines. Yes, aim for 7 to 8 hours per night. Keep a consistent bedtime and wake time. Have a 30 to 90 minute wind down routine. Avoid screens for an hour before bed. And keep your room cool and dark. Every sleep boosts dopamine for motivation and attention, serotonin for mood stability, testosterone for energy and drive, melatonin for rhythm and recovery, and it helps regulate cortisol for stress balance. Sleep really is the foundation. Everything else collapses without it. Here's some suggestions to what you can implement this week. Pick a fixed bedtime. Turn off screens 1 hour before. Consider a warm shower followed by a cool room. And, if appropriate for you, magnesium glycinate can support relaxation via GABA pathways. All right, let's move on to meditation and mindfulness, the nervous system reset. Mindfulness is not hype. The data is solid. Regular meditation reduces cortisol by around 15 to 20% within weeks. It increases serotonin. It increases oxytocin, it strengthens emotional regulation circuits in the brain. And it activates GABA, your calm down neurotransmitter. This means meditation literally shifts you out of stress mode and into balance. 10 to 20 minutes per day is a powerful target. If you want fast wins, you can start with breath work like box breathing or 4-7-8 breathing, simple body scans, or short guided mindfulness sessions. Think of meditation like brushing your brain. If you skip it, mental plaque builds up. You can implement it this week by doing 5 minutes every morning, taking 5 deep breaths before meals, and using 1 relaxation practice before bed. Moving on to the concept of nutrition, chemical building blocks. Food is not just fuel. Food is information. It tells your brain what to produce. The strongest evidence supports Mediterranean and mind-style diets, leafy greens, nuts, whole grains, berries, fatty fish, olive oil, beans, and very little processed food. This pattern raises serotonin, lowers cortisol, improves sleep and mental health, stabilizes energy, and supports testosterone. Tryptophan, an amino acid found in foods like turkey, eggs, nuts, seeds, and fish, is a key building block for serotonin. A practical rule: aim to eat Mediterranean style most of the time. Nutrition doesn't work overnight, it reshapes your inner chemistry over weeks and months. To implement this week, add nuts and leafy greens daily. Swap one processed meal for a whole food meal. Add at least one serving of fish, and drink water first thing in the morning. Okay, moving on to the fifth lifestyle driver: relationships, the social pharmacy. Humans are wired for connection. Isolation is interpreted by the brain and body as a biological threat. Positive social interaction increases serotonin, dopamine, oxytocin, and endorphins, and boosts emotional resilience. Oxytocin in particular responds strongly to hugs, eye contact, presence, shared laughter, and honest conversations. The research suggests that even something like 5 or more meaningful social interactions per week can significantly improve mental health and neurochemistry. Loneliness is not a character flaw, it's often a neurochemical deficit. To implement this week, you can text someone you care about, schedule a walk with a friend, give someone a genuine compliment, or hug someone you trust for a little bit longer than usual. Okay, for the sixth lifestyle driver, we have novelty and experiences, the dopamine engine. This last pillar is one of the most underrated. Novelty means new experiences, adventure, trying new skills, learning, and exploring. Novel experiences trigger strong dopamine spikes and accelerate neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to change and grow. Research suggests that just 1 or 2 new experiences per week can dramatically boost motivation, learning, and creativity. Novelty reinforces healthy reward cycles and helps combat the feeling of being stuck. That new experience can be simple: a new recipe, a new class, a new hobby, a new park, a new workout, a small day trip, anything unfamiliar. Novelty is nature's reset button. Without it, your dopamine system can get stale. With it, your motivation reignites. So, pick one new thing this week. Just one. Your brain will reward you for it. All right, people. That was a brief overview of the most important brain chemicals and activities we must embed into our lives to live happily and with lots of drive, joy, and motivation. Now let's connect everything into a holistic model, the upward spiral. Once you understand the big 6 neurochemicals and the 6 lifestyle drivers, the real magic is seeing how they interact. These systems don't work in isolation. They reinforce each other over and over, in loops, in spirals, either upward or downward. The science from recent years shows us this. Small lifestyle choices create chemical shifts. Those chemical shifts create behavioral momentum. That momentum creates bigger lifestyle changes. And those lifestyle changes reinforce even stronger chemistry. This is the upward spiral, the foundation of the best version of yourself, the optimal you. Let's break it down a bit. First, sleep to dopamine to motivation to exercise. Yes, research shows that good sleep boosts dopamine. Higher dopamine boosts motivation. Higher motivation boosts exercise behavior. And more exercise improves sleep quality. That's a perfect feedback loop. Imagine this. You sleep well. Your dopamine resets. You feel more motivated. You choose to move your body. Your body uses that movement to improve sleep quality. And that improved sleep resets dopamine again. One night of good sleep can literally change the next 48 hours of your chemical life. Second, meditation to lower cortisol to higher serotonin to emotional stability. Meditation and mindfulness reduce cortisol by about 15 to 20% within weeks. Serotonin levels rise. Emotional regulation circuits grow stronger. This gives you more stability, less reactivity, more clarity, and better decision making. And when you feel regulated, you're more likely to eat well, sleep well, move your body, connect with people, and try new experiences. Meditation isn't just calming, it's a chemical catalyst. Third, relationships to oxytocin to lower stress to better sleep. Social bonding increases oxytocin. Oxytocin lowers cortisol. Lower cortisol improves sleep. Better sleep resets dopamine and serotonin, which in turn makes you more social and more open. This is why meaningful relationships are not just nice to have, they are biologically essential. A single heartfelt conversation can shift your entire nervous system. Fourth, nutrition to serotonin to better mood to better choices. Mediterranean and mind-style diets are associated with higher serotonin, lower cortisol, better sleep, and improved mental health. When serotonin is higher, you naturally make healthier choices, resist impulsive behavior more easily, feel more grounded, engage in more social interactions, and have more stable energy. When food supports your chemistry supports your habits. Fifth, novelty to dopamine to neuroplasticity to identity change. Like, novel experiences trigger dopamine surges that increase neuroplasticity, the brain's ability to reshape itself. This is the gateway to identity change. Try one new thing per week, and your brain starts asking, what else can I do? What else can I become? What else is possible? Novelty creates momentum, momentum shapes identity, and identity sustains habits. The system is not linear, it's cyclical. Here's the truth. You don't need to optimize all 6 pillars at once. You don't need the perfect routine. You don't need to overhaul your entire life. You only need to push one of these levers consistently, and it will start to pull the others with it. Here's a simple scenario. You decide to fix your sleep. You cut screens before bed. You take a warm shower. Your room is cool and dark. You get 7.5 hours of sleep. Chemically, this happens. Melatonin regulates, cortisol drops, dopamine resets, serotonin stabilizes, testosterone rises, GABA activates, then the next morning, you feel more motivated. You move your body, you eat cleaner, you're more social, you're more open to novelty. All right, let's move on. There are 3 accelerators that turbocharge the synergy we're after: rhythm, reflection, and gratitude. Rhythm means consistency. Your chemistry loves rhythm, not perfection. Regular sleep strengthens serotonin. Regular meditation lowers cortisol. Regular exercise increases dopamine and testosterone. Rhythm creates chemical stability. That's why habits and rituals are so powerful. It actually triggers highly beneficial chemicals in your brain, which again makes you feel happy and unstoppable. Reflection activates the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for planning, control, and emotional regulation. Reflection builds self-awareness, better decisions, dopamine-driven progress tracking, and identity change. And a simple, I am becoming someone who can be powerful. You can reflect through journaling, voice notes, affirmations, or simple mental check-ins. Gratitude, practice daily, spikes both serotonin and oxytocin. It's one of the fastest ways to shift your neurochemistry. For example, you can recall one moment from today you're grateful for, one person you appreciate, one thing you're proud of, or one thing that went better than expected. Gratitude physically restructures your emotional circuits over time. Now let's put it all together in something simple I like to call the Daily 6. Here's a simple formula that you can start today. 1. Move your body for 20 to 30 minutes in any form. 2. Get some morning sunlight. 3. Eat at least one Mediterranean-style meal. 4. Practice 5 minutes of mindfulness. 5. Connect with one person in a meaningful way. 6. Do one new or meaningful thing. If you hit those 6, you've influenced every major neurochemical in your body in a single day. This is how you build the upward spiral. Okay, guys, that's it for this episode. Now let's wrap up. Today, we walked through a full blueprint of your inner world, not philosophy, not vague motivation, neuroscience. You learned about the big 6 neurochemicals that drive your life: dopamine, motivation, and pursuit; serotonin, mood stability and confidence; oxytocin, connection and trust; endorphins, natural stress relief; cortisol, stress and survival; testosterone, drive, power and energy. In addition, you also learned about GABA, calm and control; adrenaline and noradrenaline, focus and readiness; melatonin, rhythm and recovery. Then we broke down the 6 lifestyle drivers that influence them more than anything else: exercise, sleep, meditation, nutrition, relationships, and novelty. And you learned the real secret: these aren't just tips, they're levers. They create chemical shifts, which create behavioral shifts, which in turn create identity shifts. This is how the upward spiral begins. I want to leave you with something simple, something you can do today, not tomorrow, not next week, today. Pick one of the 6 lifestyle drivers, just one, and commit to it for 7 days. Here are your options. Move for 20 to 30 minutes daily, or sleep for around 7.5 hours with a real wind-down routine, or meditate 5 to 10 minutes every day, or upgrade one meal each day to a more Mediterranean-style meal, or connect intentionally with one person each day, or do one new or meaningful thing this week. Pick only one. Then notice how your chemistry responds. Notice your energy. Notice your mood. Notice your focus. Notice your resilience. It's a high chance it will change. And once you feel that shift, you'll want more. Not because of discipline, not because of willpower, but because your brain will finally be working with you, not against you. Before we finish, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not just changing habits. You are designing your chemistry. And when you design your chemistry, you design your identity, you design your life. You don't become the person who just tries to be healthy. You become the person who understands how your own biology works. You become the person who can change direction at any time. You become the person who takes control. That's the OptiU concept. The intentional you, the designed you, the optimized you. And if today gave you even one insight, one spark, one that makes sense, you're going to love what's coming next. In episode 2, we're diving deep into the one chemical that controls motivation, discipline, and long-term success: dopamine. We'll break down the engine of pursuit, the force behind your ambition, the reason you feel stuck, and the reason you'll get unstuck. We'll talk about how it really works, how we break it, and how we rebuild it through lifestyle structure and what I like to call micro dopamine design. So before we end today's Ours episode, I just want to say that I'm glad you're here. This is the OptiU podcast. Thank you for listening.
Thanks for listening to the OptiU podcast, a concept optimized for becoming your best self. Remember, transformation isn't perfection, it's awareness. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who's ready to evolve. For more resources, visit optiuconcept.com and join the community that's redefining human potential, one episode at a time.